In Nigeria's capital city, a single roadside stop ignited two completely different stories. So, what was it? A targeted assassination attempt on a naval officer? Or just a simple police check? You know, the massive gap between these two realities, it tells us something much deeper is going on. Welcome to Africa Watch 360. Calm, clear, and focused news you can trust. We look deeper so you understand better. So, to really get to the bottom of this, here's what we're going to do. First, we'll break down the shocking allegation that just blew up online. Then, we'll dig into the official police account. After that, we need to connect some dots with some really crucial background info, put the two stories side by side, and then figure out why this one incident is so much more than just a headline. All right, so the first version of this story that everybody saw was, well, it was explosive. It spread like wildfire on social media, painting this very vivid picture of a targeted, violent attack on a high-ranking military officer. According to all those initial media reports, Naval Officer A.M. Yerima was being hunted down by unknown assailants. Now, pay close attention to the details here. Unidentified men dressed in black, unmarked Hilux vans. These phrases weren't just descriptions, they were designed to make the story feel incredibly real and, frankly, terrifying. And that's exactly why it took off online. The whole story was laid out like a scene from an action movie. You've got a specific location on the Kubwa expressway, a precise time around 6:30 p.m., and then this dramatic high-speed chase. It even ends with Officer Yerima supposedly pulling a strategic maneuver to get away. I mean, that action-packed sequence is what made it so powerful and easy to share. And this gets to the heart of why everyone was so alarmed. The story wasn't just suggesting some random crime. It was implying a full-blown assassination attempt on a military officer right there in Abuja, the nation's capital. This wasn't some distant threat. It was a direct challenge to the feeling of safety at the very center of power. The question on everyone's mind was, could this actually be true? But just as that narrative was catching fire, the story took a massive turn. The FCT Police Command put out an official statement. And, well, their version of events couldn't have been more different. Now, the police response wasn't a soft correction. No, it was a flat-out denial. They called the viral reports false and unverified, and they urged the public to just ignore what they called maliciously crafted tales. This wasn't a simple disagreement over a few details, it was a direct contradiction of the entire story that was out there. So, what did the police say actually happened? Well, their version is a lot less dramatic. It's way more procedural. They described a totally standard stop-and-search operation. A vehicle was pulled over, officers tried to talk to the driver, and after a little bit of a delay, the whole thing was resolved. No chase, no assassins, just a routine patrol doing its job. According to the police statement, their patrol team at the NPC junction stopped a Toyota Camry for two very specific traffic offenses, a concealed number plate and windows that were fully tinted. You know, from a law enforcement perspective, those are pretty standard reasons to initiate a traffic stop anywhere. And here's where the police claim things got a bit complicated. Their statement says the whole encounter took longer than it should have because the driver, Officer Yerima, at first refused to identify himself. Instead, he allegedly rolled up his window and started making several phone calls. The situation only calmed down, they said, when other naval officers showed up and confirmed who he was. This quote from their statement really says it all. You can almost hear the frustration in their words, this surprise that a routine traffic stop could somehow be twisted into this huge allegation of an assassination attempt, all fueled by what they called maliciously crafted tales. Okay, so now we have two completely opposite stories. It begs the question, why did the assassination claim get so much traction? Why was it so easy for people to believe? Well, to understand that, we have to rewind the clock by just 5 days. See, this incident didn't just happen in a vacuum. This timeline really connects the dots for us. On November 11th, you have Officer Yarima in a very public, very heated argument with FCT Minister Nyesom Wike over a land dispute. Just 5 days later, on the 16th, this police stop happens. And by the 17th, these two conflicting stories are everywhere. That first fight, that's the crucial context we need. Let me give you a simple analogy. Imagine two neighbors have a big shouting match over a parking spot on a Monday. Then on Friday, one of them comes out and finds their car has a flat tire. Who's the first person they're going to suspect? Right. That first argument creates a filter, a lens through which they see this new event. It's the exact same principle here. That public clash between Minister Wike and Officer Yerima created a narrative of conflict. So when Officer Yerima was stopped by the police just days later, a lot of people were already looking at it through that lens, which made the dramatic assassination claims seem, well, plausible. All right, so a quick recap so far. We have two completely different versions of reality. On one hand, you've got this sensational story of an assassination plot. On the other, a pretty boring account of a routine police stop. Let's put the key details right next to each other and see how they stack up. I mean, the differences here are just stark. The viral report said unidentified men in black. The police said it was their own marked patrol team. The reports claimed unmarked Hilux vans. The police called it a routine stop and search. A high-speed chase versus an occupant who refused to identify himself. And of course, the big one, an assassination attempt versus an encounter that ended peacefully. It's like they're describing two totally different worlds. The gap between these two versions is just enormous. One story suggests a serious breakdown of law and order in the nation's capital. The other points to a simple misunderstanding that got blown way out of proportion, mostly because of those existing tensions and, of course, the incredible speed of social media. So why does any of this matter? Why are we even talking about this one incident? Because this is about so much more than just one roadside stop. Really, it's a perfect case study in the challenges we all face today with trust, perception, and how information spreads like lightning. This whole episode really shines a light on four key things. First, the raw power of social media to make a story go viral in minutes, whether it's accurate or not. Second, it shows just how fragile public trust in our institutions can be when an unverified rumor can feel more believable than an official statement. Third, it shows how existing political tensions can completely change how we interpret events, turning a routine stop into a political drama. And finally, it's a pretty sharp reminder of our own responsibility to check information before we believe it, and especially before we hit that share button. And at the end of the day, this whole situation leaves us with a really critical question. In a world just flooded with conflicting reports and viral stories, how do we figure out what's actually credible? That's a challenge that goes way beyond this one story. It affects how we understand just about everything. We've laid out both sides of the story based on the reports that are out there. So, we want to know, what's your honest take on this situation? You know, this story is absolutely still developing. The very next update, maybe more details, maybe even some video footage, could completely change how we see everything. We are going to keep following this story. Stay subscribed for clearer, deeper analysis from Africa Watch 360. What is your own take on this matter? Share your opinion in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breakdown.